So, yesterday we discussed something that He has created this world and entered into it, and He can be experienced in the cavity of the heart, in the space which is in the heart. So, finally, it is said experiencing or perceiving in the cavity of the heart, that only we call it as entrance. Tat sushtva tadevan pravishat, he entered. Entered in the sense entrance cannot be there, but experiencing in the cavity of the heart, in the space of the heart, is called entrance. And again he told that Brahman became formed and formless, gross and subtle, sentient and insentient, that which is seen and unseen, and again that can be called defined and undefined. All these are formed from that particular Brahman. During the manifestation, so many things he says they are formed, but they are not, they are inseparable from the Brahman. Because all these things are created by himself, or from himself, from that particular Brahman. That's why he says the effect is not different from the cause. If you say that mud has become or clay has become the jar, clay alone is pervading the jar. If it is broken, it becomes dust and clay. Okay. So the effect is not different from the cause. Effect is not different from the cause. Cause modified itself into the effect. Or we can say cause has transformed itself. That's why they say आकाश रूपापन्न परमात्मा वायुरभवत्. First, the self has changed into the space, and the space, which is not different from that particular self, has changed into air. We can rather say the changes are superficial, because he is all pervading and he is alone is the real substance, as existence in everything. Now, here, how far you will understand, I don't know. I'd like to tell something about logic. Adyaguru Shankaracharya says, we are seeing all these effects, differentiation in the effects, and identifying with the effects is all due to ignorance. one word. Because they are also superimposed. And this ignorance is having a beginning and it can be terminated. It is having an end also.
Ignorance has a beginning.
Anadi?
Has no beginning.
Sorry, has no beginning. Sorry. It is not having a beginning. Anadi. When it has started, nobody knows. But it is having a end. Then he gives the logic. You see, we are also having something like that in our, say, Shastras. The pradhamsa bhava. It says, pradhamsa bhava. If there is a part, if you break the part, it has broken, that he names it as pradhamsa.
Non-existence of destruction.
Non-existence of destruction. Pradhamsa bhava. So your ignorance also is something like that. See, non-existence of destruction. Destruction we can say. No,
Distraction of ignorance.
no. Destruction here about the jar, the destruction is permanent, is real, he says. Because of destruction, the destruction is there. So how can you say that your ignorance is not having a beginning, it ends? We compare it to this pradhamsa bhava. Then he says, you see, we cannot give any attributes to a thing which is non-existing. Suppose a son of a barren woman has the crown of flowers made out of sky flowers, and with a bow he is coming, which is made up of the horn of a hare, like this. He is telling, because they accept this abhava non-existence. And if a thing is not there, how can you give an attribute to it? If a thing is there, then we can give some attribute. We can define it. And pradhamsa you are telling destruction for a thing which is not existing. So you cannot give any attributes for a non-existing thing, that is abhava. So their acceptance of abhava has been refuted by Shankaracharya. You are telling the attribute, the destruction, you are giving to a thing that is non-existing. For a non-existing thing, there will not be any attributes. So your argument is not correct. So our ignorance is not something like that, which is having a destruction and it is permanent. Like that you are telling. It is not something like that. You cannot compare it because you are giving the attributes to a non-existing thing. But we say the ignorance is existing. It is not having a beginning because since ages it is coming, but it is having an end. The end is not like the destruction of a part. That's what it says.
It's more like pratyabhava.
Huh?
It's more like pratyabhava, because pratyabhava has no beginning but has end.
Pratyabhava? Huh? What?
The beginning
bhava. He says praga bhava, pradhamsa bhava. He is telling, he is giving so many attributes to a non-existing thing. And he compares that with the ignorance. But you see, ajnanena avrutam jnanam, Sri Krishna says. Ajnanena avrutam jnanam. Through ignorance, the knowledge is covered. If you are having a book and you cover with a cloth, you are not able to see the book. If you uncover, you will be able to see. That's what Sri Krishna says. That means the ignorance is a thing that which is existing. Then the opponent asks where it is. It is in you. When you say, I have not realized my own self, you are ignorant. For ignorance, or to define ignorance, or to express, we need not go here and there. The person who says that I don't know the Almighty, I have not experienced, he is ignorant. He is accepting by himself. So, this ignorance, he says it is not having a beginning, but it is having an end, which we call realization or the highest experience or experiencing the highest bliss, whatever you may call with that. Because you see, because of the duality, because of the ignorance, one sees the duality. Yesterday I told, udaram antaram gurute atatasya bhayam bhavati. Even if you make a small difference from that existence, which you call bliss, Atman, self, God, whatever you may call, you are having fear. So, seeing the differentiation itself is ignorance. And here he has started the scripture to remove that particular ignorance. And once, if you overcome it, you are one with the all-pervading bliss. So he says, even when you are in duality, you are not separate from that one consciousness. You are having the experience of duality, that's all right. That does not mean you are different from that Atman. A small parable. He says, we are superimposing mind, senses, body and organs, sense organs, and the doership. That's why we are seeing the duality. There is a group of boys, they had been to some excursion and they were returning. By the time when they were coming back, it was almost dark. So, on the way, they saw a big ghost. All of them are afraid, but there is only one way to cross. So what to do? So everybody started chanting Hanuman Chalisa and started running. But some of them when they came near and opened and saw, they could see the reality. it is only a tree and it is just a outside lines are just like a human form, and because of air it is moving, because of wind, whatever it may come. So when they understood that it is only a tree, the fear has gone and they understood it is only imaginary thing that we have superimposed. So here also it is something like that. Due to the ignorance of oneness, we are saying that. That's why even in our waking state, we should practice to see that oneness in each and everybody, in each and everything. And by slowly practicing like that, we will see what is there inside as the chosen deity or the Atman, that we can see outside by long practice. So it is only the effort that we are doing and the feeling that we are developing for our own self or Atma. That's why Sri Krishna says, Tat Parata. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tat parasayatendri. I want only this. You may translate it as tenacity, whatever you may call. That should be there. I want only this, nothing else. That's why that deep feeling should be there. Then only in day-to-day life we can practice and we can train our mind to see the oneness on which we are meditating, and slowly the mind accepts. That is the only way. Otherwise, you see, there will not be any progress. For that also Sri Ramakrishna gives an example. There was a boat and it was tied to the bank. And a drunkard came and all the night he was throwing that rider, whatever it may call, rowing. And in the morning he sees, when he got up, he sees where he was there only. What he did, he has not untied the boat. What will happen simply by rowing? So this untying, they say, these are the knots, K-N-O-T-S. Knot, K-N-O-T, knot. Grandhi. Knots. That is there in our heart. Since ages it is coming. That we have to untie. Nothing but that instead of thinking in the right side, you can say, you better go to left side. That is, starting from the self, you are telling, I am the mind, I am the sense organs, I am the body. So remove this and say, I am the existence, I am the bliss, I am the absolute, I am the Atma. That's all. So you have to change the direction of your thinking, your mind. That only will help you. And finally what we say, even after creation, only that thing is there. If you go to Brihadaranyaka, it says, as we are experiencing the self in the dream state and in deep sleep state, as well as we are experiencing it even in the waking state. It says, how if you touch a living body, you feel some heat, which you don't find in a dead body. So where from this heat has come? Because of the vital force. What is the cause of this vital force? It is Atma. So when you are touching somebody's body, you should think that the highest bliss has transformed into this vital force. Because of that, this body is hot. And further he says, if you close your ears and you hear the sound which is inside, that is, as Sri Krishna says, Aham Vaisvanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamasut. It is the Vaisvanara fire, which is digesting everything. So in that way also, even in your waking state, you can feel what you are feeling, that you should try to able to see outside also. What you are experiencing in the three states, the same thing you should try to see outside. Then only you will get that oneness and you will understand that the self is inseparable from the effect. And this vital force is not having a form, it is formless. But when he says it is having form, formless, and the space and air are not seen, and other things are seen, whatever he says, it is all related to the manifested state. Not before manifestation. All these things he is telling after the manifestation, unmanifested state. So again he says it is sentient and insentient. This is also relative truth. Absolute truth becomes all this. That is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, that is topic under discussion. Yes, whatever we are telling, support, supportless, form, formless, all these things, they are all belong to the relative state. But we are discussing something about the absolute truth, starting with Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That is our topic under discussion. That's what it says. So the names and forms also are not different from it. Because the cause has transformed into the effect, we have to say that the cause is existing and that cause is no other than Brahman. So we conclude that Brahman is existing, which you call as truth. He told truth, knowledge and bliss absolute. Instead of telling Satyam, he says truth. How? Because of it, everything has come out. But this we are feeling in all our three states. If somebody thinks that the waking state alone is real and he is working with the sense organs, mind and body, and these things are not there in his deep sleep state, but he is experiencing the joy. So something other than this should be there, which you call consciousness. And the experience comes only to the consciousness. It never comes to the matter. A dead body cannot experience anything. So, in the beginning, he has raised whether the Brahman is existing or not, and whether an ignorant person is realizing it or a man of realization is experiencing it. Like this, he has put so many questions. Now, when he says, let me become many, that desire is there in the only consciousness, that's why he is existing. And there is a difference between an ignorant person and a realized person. So, realized person alone can experience it. Because of he is seeing the difference, the ignorant person, he is having fear and he is not able to experience. That also he says, and the self should be comprehended as the existing thing in the cavity of the heart, and aspirant should always discriminate about these all five sheets, and it is the innermost, the self. And again afterwards he says, Asadvaita Magra Asit, he has started. So this word Asad, we have to define it as unmanifested. Prior to creation, it was only Brahman, as called Asad. And he says, Sukritam, he himself has transformed into the effect. That's what he says. That's why it is well done. Sustu Krutam, well done. Swayam Krutam, because of himself, he has transformed. It is Sukrutam, Swayam Krutam. Who did? I did. In the same way, Swayam. And now, all right, you have answered all our questions. What is the use of further explaining the scripture? Then he says, you see, now we want to prove that it is the cause of everything, sarva karanatvam. We want to explain to you. Swayam Katra Brahmaiti Prasiddham Loke Sarva Karanatvat. It is the cause of everything. Self-creator and being the cause of everything. That we want to further explain. So, page 363. Yasmadva Swayam Akaro Sarvam Sarvatmana Tasmat Punya Rupena Api Tadeva Brahma Karanam Sukutamuchyate. Because it has created from itself and it is the cause of everything, even in the form of good, that we can say Sukrutam, Tadeva Brahma Karanam, because it is Sukrutam, well done or done through good whatever you may call Sukritam. Sarvathapitu phala sambandha adhikaranam Sukrit Sabdavacham prasiddham loke. See, in the relative plane or in the world, they use this Sukritam. Sushtukritam, well done, or done by himself. Both the meanings we can say. Swayam Kritam is done by my own self. I have done. Sukritam, Sushtukritam, well done. So, whatever you may say the meaning, it is always connected to the fruits of the actions in day-to-day life. That's why it says, Phala Sambandhadhikaranam Sukru Sabdavacham Prasiddham Loke. Punyam Yadiva Anyat Sa Prasiddhir Nitye Chetanavat Karane Sati Utpadyate. Now, he says, if the existing thing or this self is real and it is full of consciousness, then only this, due to the actions, that is giving the results, according to the actions. Now, he says, why you always tell that God is omniscient, Sarvagya? There, in Kenopanishad, Bhagavan Bhashikara says, see, a king is there and he is having so many subordinates. And to them, he is giving salary according to their work. Or a wealthy person having so many servants in the house, and according to their work, he is giving the salaries. Here what happens? The owner is observing the servants, what work he is doing. So accordingly he gives the remuneration. In the same way, whatever impression you develop in your mind, in the form of an action, in the form of a concept, or in the form of meditation, whichever is entertained in your mind, the mind, whatever impression it takes, that impression falls on Ishvara. That impression falls on Ishvara. Because of your doership and enjoyership, you think that I am thinking, I am doing. But he is all pervading. He is inside Ishvara Sarvabhutan Uddeshe Jintistati. So the moment you are having a thought, you do an action, whatever it may be, immediately an impression is formed on Ishvara. It is formed there. That is why, taking these actions into consideration, he is giving you the fruits. Because the impressions are there in him, you forget. You do so many things and you forget. I think last time I told a story that a man carries so many impressions even from the past life. They give example of Jad Bharata, Vamdeva and so many people. Here is an example. A man was having pain in the heart. And he had been to many big doctors. Nobody could find the cause of that pain. Why it is coming? But at times he used to feel pain. That's why he went to one of his friends, and he was a good astrologer, and he told him, you see, everybody says nothing is there cause for the pain, but I am feeling at times pain. Can you find out the cause? I told, yes, is it. So what he did, because he is a good astrologer, he started seeing the previous lives of that particular person. One of these astrological books are there. They can very easily tell you what you are previously, what you are now, and what you will be in future. Nadi Grandhas, they say. So this fellow must be having something like that. He started seeing the horoscope of this particular person. And not only one life, he had went back to 3-4 lives. Then he found the cause. What is the cause? See, in your previous birth, you were a soldier in the army, and you did a mistake, and king gave you the punishment. What is the punishment? As a soldier, you are riding on a horseback from this side. Riding in a horse. So the another soldier, he will be riding in the opposite direction. And he has thrown that what you call sparrow. Spear or sparrow? No, sparrow is the spear. Sparrow is the bird. No. So it is spear into your heart. So you have experienced that pain, and for a long time, and you passed away. So whenever you, during meditation, that particular thought, when it comes up from conscious mind to the subconscious mind to the conscious state, you feel pain. See. So why I am telling about this Nadi Grandhas, there was a Swami even in our ashram. So I had some trouble, that is a mouth sores, and it was continuing for 2-3 years. So like your food, I cannot take any salt, no chilies, no masala, no oil. So this Swami wanted to find out the cause. So he took all the Nadi Grandhas and he has compared the horoscope and found that in your previous birth there is no mistake that you have cooperated with, for because of which you are now suffering. There was no cause. But afterwards, of course, it passed away. It may be something. Previously, I might have eaten something which is not conducive to this body, whatever it may be. So, at that time, he told, see, when you compare the horoscope, that it gives your previous birth, present birth, and the future birth also it gives. They are called Andikanda. So through that, what I mean to say is, here we are having so many impressions in your mind. We don't know. But each and every impression is having a impression on Lord Ishvara. Sarvatmatvat. They use the word Sarvatmatvat. Because he is inside you and he is all pervading. Accordingly, he is giving you the results. Not that he is giving the results of somebody else. Whatever you do, that is why Sri Krishna says, you are getting the results of good and bad which you have done previously. So sukha dukkha samay kutpa labha labha jayaniya tato yuddhaya jisvanaivam papam avasasam. So see all these deers with the equal mind. Try to get that equanimity of the mind. Samakutta. Because nobody is giving to anybody any pain or happiness. It is his own sukrutam. What he did, that he has to enjoy. What you show, that you have to do. That's why here he says, Yedi punyam, yediva anyat sa prasiddhir, nitye chetanavat karane sati upapadyate. If the real consciousness is there, then only it is possible. That here we call it Ishvara. And these people, those who follow rituals of the Vedas, they don't accept this Ishvara, Purvamimamsa. They don't accept. Then Bhagavan Bhashikara says, you see, the action is inert and the fruits are inert, so there should be somebody who knows the actions and the results. And he correlates who did what action, what result has to be given. That's why Ishvara is there. You are not accepting the Ishvara, that is not, that's why he says, he scolds even, karma jadaha, he says. Doing action and only always being in the action, your mind has become inert, he says. Karma jada. It is only matter. You are not carrying any intelligence or the discrimination or something else. He scolds even. Karma jada. Tasmad asti tad brahma sukrut prasiddhe. That's why what you call the well done, that existence is there. Kutaha rasatvat. It is full of juice, it is full of ambrosia, we say. Raso vaisaha. And the Brahman, we say, Rasatta Prasiddhir Brahmana Ityataha. This is the essence or the juice, we can say, but we have to tell that it is the ocean of bliss. What is the rasa? It is the ocean of bliss. Or you can say it is the ocean of ambrosia, amrita. Because it is full of bliss, you are getting something. That's why in one place, Sri Ramakrishna says, say you call these great people, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara, Narada, Vasishtha, Sukadeva, so many names you take. What they did actually, they went near this ocean of bliss and just took a morsel of water. They experienced. That much they are explaining to you. Even these great people, saints, for them, what Sri Ramakrishna says, they had been to the ocean of the bliss and just took 1 or 2 morsels of water from there. They drank it and they are explaining to you. See. So it is full of bliss. Trupti hetu. And what is this bliss? Through that you get contentment. It is the cause for the contentment. Just like he gives the sweet juice or sour juice. Rasamevayam ladva prapya anandi sukhi bhavati. One who gets this bliss is full of joy. Anandi bhavati. And that's why here another example Sri Ramakrishna gives. A fish in the water, very happily and joyfully it is swimming, without any obstruction, without any this thing. So like that, a realized person is moving in this world without any worry, without any sorrow, without any difficulties, full of joy. This is. Rasameva ayam labdva, getting this bliss, experiencing this bliss. Anandi sukhi bhavati. He gets highest happiness. Asat anand hetutvam drishtam. A non-existing thing cannot be the cause of happiness as we see in this world. Brahmananda sadhana rahita api aniha. Now, he is giving the example of the realized persons. Bahya ananda sadhana rahita. They are not depending on any external things to enjoy the realized persons. Api aniha. They never do any effort to get something. Nireshana, no desires. Brahmana, bahya rasa labhadiva sananda dushyante. We see as if they got some bliss from outside, though they are not doing any effort, not having any desire, and they, as others, if they are having merit and some instruments and other things, they can enjoy the outside objects, but they are not having any of these things. That means they are enjoying the highest bliss in themselves without having support of any external thing. Brahma rasa labhadiva sananda dushyante vidvansaha. Here, vidvansa means not a scholar. That's why in Gita also he says, Sunicheva swapakecha panditaha samadarshini. Vidya vinay sampanne brahmane gavayasini sunicheva swapakecha panditaha. Pandita means not a scholar there. Not saint, realized person. Panda asyasiti pandita. One who is pursuing the self-knowledge. So in the same way here Vidwan, Pandita. Nunam Brahma eva rasastesham. How they are able to enjoy without having any external things and not doing any effort? He says, verily, the Brahman itself is the bliss for them. Rasastesham tasmad asti tat tesham ananda karanam rasavad brahma. That's why for them there is a cause called Brahman, which is full of bliss, causing happiness to them. Itasyasti kutaha. By telling this also, the existence is there of Brahman. Prananadi kriya darshanat. Because in a living human body, vital force is working. Prananadi kriya, prana, pana, vyana, udana, all these things are going on. Ayamapihi pindo jivatah pranena praniti apanena apaniti. So, in a living body, this vital force is inhaling and exhaling. Because of that existence. That's why in the beginning also I told, this vital force is entered into the father as a sperm. But there also vital force is there. Otherwise, it cannot take the form of a human body. So from the beginning till the end, till you leave the body, this vital force is working. Huh? So, this vital force is working because of the existence. That's why in the subtle body, when it leaves, this gross body becomes only matter, dead matter. See, just 1 or 2 days, if the vital force is not working in the body, it gets spoiled. This body, you cannot keep it for a long time, a dead body. It seems to be full of consciousness, this body, this gross body, only because of the vital force. And how this vital force is working? Because of the existence. So, prananadi kriya. Now, again he says, Vaivya Indriya Kasha Chesta. Even the sense organs are working through that. Samhatairi karyakarane nirvatyamana drishyante. Samhata is adding so many things, it is form. This glass body is form from the elements. And until and unless there is subtle body in it, it cannot enjoy the fruits of good and bad. But this subtle body is also working with the mind, and that mind is getting the power from the Atma, which is all pervading. See, for an ignorant person, he says, I am the doer, and I am the enjoyer. What you are enjoying? Enjoying so many objects of the world through senses and through mind. Understand? But because he thinks that he is the doer and the doership is there in him and the enjoyership is there, he says, I am enjoying. He is enjoying for whom? He says, for myself. And who are you? I am this body, he says. That's why once Swami Ramatirtha, so he declared, I I will show you the nearest path for realization, is declared. And people came to him, and then he says, what is your address? Where are you? Who are you? And slowly he takes from the gross body to the subtle body and towards this is your actual existence. So try to realize it, whatever it will be. In the same way, the sense organs and the gross body and the mind are enjoying so many outside objects. What for whom? They carry all the things to the self which is inside the Atman. But this particular Atman is not made of these elements with which this mind and sense organs are made. So actually, what for is this body? The body is for the enjoyment of something else which is inside. We construct houses with so many materials. House is not for house. It is for the owner. Owner can construct the house with materials, but materials cannot make a owner. Owner can construct a house and he can live in it, but the materials cannot construct a owner. So Sanghata is for something else. Sanghata means this congregation, you may say, the gathering of all these elements is for somebody else. That is the self which is with you. Is it not? Chestaha samhataihi karyakaranayi nirvatyamana drishyante. So the body and senses combinedly, and that combined accomplishment with a singular motive in view cannot happen without the presence of conscious principle that does not belong to the combination. Combination is the body. So it is something else. Tacha ekartha vrittvena samhananam nantrena chetanam asamhatam sambhavati. That which is conscious, unconscious or insentient cannot combine these things, and the combination is for somebody else. Karya karana sanghata we call. What is this body? Karya is the effect, karana is the senses, mind and etc. And they are put together is called a body. Karya is the gross body and karana is mind and sense organs. This put together is called a body. The body is for what? For somebody else. Who is that somebody? That is the self which is with you. For its enjoyment. What is enjoying? Is enjoying the fruits of its own action. So here we should distinguish between this matter, karyakarana sanghata, and the consciousness. That's why in the beginning also I told, all these 5 C's are explained. Why? Because it is inside this. This is the innermost. And it is different from this. This is matter and that is consciousness. Tadaha tadyadi esha akasho parame vyomni guhayam nitam anando nasyat. And if that particular thing which is inside the cave of this heart, if it is not having bliss, how can it distribute bliss? Isn't it? Na bhavet kohi eva loke anyat apanatestam kuryat. Because of its presence, you are inhaling and exhaling and evacuating all the things you are doing. prananam va kuryat tasmat asti tad brahma, because this vital force is working in its presence. Something is there besides this, which is existing. That's why previously also I told that Drupta Balyaki and the king, Ashwapati Kaikeyi, if I remember properly, it comes in Chandogya. So this boy goes and says, I will tell you about Brahman. Drupta Balaki. And he could not tell, he says, the sun is Brahman, that vital force is Brahman, that moon is Brahman, like this he started telling. And he gives a particular name to that Brahman, Pandaravasa, something like that. So I am meditating on that as Brahman. Then the king says, it is not correct. So you don't know about Brahman. Then he surrenders to the king. All right, you give me the knowledge. Then what he did? You are telling that this vital force is Brahman. Is it not? The boy, what he told? Vital force is Brahman. And he has taken this boy to a sleeping person. And vital force is, it is working. Even in a man though who is sleeping, this prana is going on. So he calls with the names which he has used for the vital force. Bruhan, Pandar, Vasa, all these things. And that fellow never wakes up. If you are say that Brahman is vital force, and vital force is going on, and if you call it by its name, it will get up. It is not getting up. Then he pushes the body and he wakes up. Then he asks where he was sleeping and where from he has woke up. So that is different from this vital force. Vital force is working, is acting because of its presence. Like that it is. The same thing is been told here. If the inside, the space of the heart, if it is not having the bliss, Ajata. So it is not, he says, Ashwapati Kaikeyi, it is Ajatasattu. Name of the king is Ajatasattu, and Drupta Balaki is the boy. Brahman Pandit in this case, that's all. So, the actual existing consciousness is different from this vital force. Because of that consciousness, this vital force is working. See, that's what he says. And if this consciousness is not having bliss, where from you are getting that bliss? During sleep, you are getting all the bliss from inside, not borrowing anything outside, from outside. So that's why he says this Atman, it is pure existence, bliss, knowledge, and. And why they should say it is truth and knowledge? Because the experience comes to a conscious being as knowledge, not to the matter. These things, they cannot experience their matter. And again he puts a question. All right, it is having knowledge. So many animals also are having knowledge. So it may be something like that. This is your existence. Says no. It is full of bliss. And the animals, they cannot express their difficulties and other things. Animals, all the other creatures, except man, cannot express the difficulties or the sorrow they are feeling. We only infer. A small baby is there and he is having stomach pain, and the mother thinks he is weeping for milk and again pours the milk and his stomach pain is increased. It is something like that. So all the creatures, though they are having knowledge, they are not bliss absolute. Only the man, he can experience. Existence is there also in the creatures, but they are not having the proper mind to discriminate. If a man kills another man, he is punished. If an animal kills another animal, nobody punishes. It is not Swabhava. He is only enjoying its fruits of the actions. No punishment. One of our Swamis says, of course, very funnily he says, if you go before the president's house and started evacuating there, you will be punished. But if a horse goes and it evacuates his stomach, it is not punished. Why? It is also doing the same thing before the president's house. So that is, they are the creatures, all other creatures, they are not having any discrimination. What is real, what is unreal, what has to be done, what is not to do, all these things. That's why the only virtuous qualities which elevate man and the discrimination is only possessed by man only. Is the only creature in this world who can realize himself. That's why even gods, at times they have to take the birth, they say. These are all gods. Because there you see, full of enjoyment. They never feel any sorrow or difficulty. So there is no scope for dispassion in the gods. But still, few they discriminate and realize. Saeva Atma Ananda Rupo. That Atman is full of bliss. Avidya Parichinno Vibhavite Pranibhir. Though it is all pervading, because of the ignorance, the people think it is limited. Existence is all pervading. Because of the ignorance, people think it is limited. Bhayabhay hetutvat. And they are having fear. The realized person thinks only one thing is there. Only one Atman, all pervading, and I am that. No, nobody else is there besides me. It goes to that extent. But the ignorant person thinks that he is different from that Atman, and that makes the cause of fear in him. That is the cause. Sadvastu ashrayena hi abhyam bhavati. If you are attached to the highest bliss, you are not having any fear. You know that you are not the body. Whatever is happening in the body and mind, I am not attached to them. The realized person thinks in that way, whereas an ignorant person thinks in the opposite way. He is attached to the objects which are limited. asadvastvasena bhaya nivrittirupapajyate na upapajyate. So if you are getting attached to the unreal objects of this world, your fear will not disappear. That's what he says. That very self of the nature of bliss is imagined by creatures as being conditioned, and they think that Brahman, though it is existing, they limit it. That's why. Katham abhayedutvam. And how can you say that absolute bliss with the Atman is the cause of fearlessness? Yada heva yasmad esha sadhaka etasmin brahmani kim visiste adrishye drishyam nama drashtavyam vikare dasanarthatvad vikarasya. Adrishye, now he is going to explain. Adrishye, anilene, anatme, anirikte, all these things. Adrishye, you cannot see that Atman with sense organs. Both the sense organs and the organs of action. You cannot see. That's why it is called Adrishya. Sadhaka etasmin brahmani adrishye. You cannot see with all the sense organs. Na drishyam adrishyam avikara ityartha. Then why you are telling it is adrishya, non-perception? Because it is changeless. It never changes. Avikar. Avikar ityartha. Etasmin adrishya avikare. Avishay bhute. It never becomes an object. It is always the subject. That's why again and again I told, first you confirm your existence and presence. Yes, I am. Then you say, I am seeing particular object. Is it? So, but you never say, I am this object. The object is always different from you. That's why the subject can never be the object. Avishaya bhute. And previously also I told you, Vishaya is the object and the root verb to form this word, Sriya Bandhane. If you are attached to a particular thing, you are in bondage. It binds you. Sriya Bandhane. That's why the objects which we see in this world, you give up, we say. If you want to experience the seed, you have to give what you see, the seed. Though it is all pervading, it is in everything, but it is different from name and form, that's all. But in general, what people do, they see the name and form and they encourage the idea, oh, it is very good. Again, they proceed further. I want to possess this. I want to have it. I want to enjoy it. Was done. And they do all sorts of sacrifices to possess so many things. That's why one should not meditate on the objects of the world. Even a little observation and meditation diverts your mind. it just drags away the mind from the inner self to the outer object. That's why always remember, the object can never be the subject. And the subject is real and the object is unreal. And the object binds the subject to the world. That's what he says here. And it is changeless. The Brahman is never changing. It is one continuous bliss. Prajnana ghana, full of knowledge, full of bliss. Adrishya yasmad anatmyam. Yasmad anatmyam tasmad aniruptam. He says, because you cannot see or you cannot experience with these sense organs, we say it is undefinable. Niruchyate visheshecha vikar. If there is an attribute or adjective, then we can define a thing. And it is not having any attributes. Nirguna. Though it is there, though it is formless, though it is not having any attributes, yet it is there as your own self. You cannot deny your own self. And you are not going to ask somebody to confirm your existence. So this very, say, this ego I am, that itself confirms that you are consciousness and you are existing. So, he says, though it is undefinable, not having any form and attributes, yet it is there. Previously also he told, it is existing and it is full of bliss. From that everybody is getting a small portion of bliss. Yatahi yavam tasmat anilayanam. Nilayanam nidashyo na nilayanam. Anilayanam anadharam. And he says it is supportless. It is giving support to each and everybody, all the planets, all the universes are supported by it. So where you will get a support for it? You are sitting on the earth. Earth is supporting you. You cannot support the earth. It is giving support to everybody. In the same way, this particular Brahman is the support for each and everything. All the planets and all the stars, all the universes. That's why, just as a passing remark, he says, supportless, sarva karya dharma vilakshane brahmani vakyataha. So if you say you cannot see with sense organs, and it is changeless, undefinable, and supportless, that means no attributes in it. That we have to understand. Abhayamiti kriya visheshanam. Now he says, Brahman is the cause of fearlessness. Abhayam. Pratishtam sthiti atma bhavam vindate labhate. Atha tada sa tasmin anatmasya bahetur avidyakadasya adasnad abhayam gato bhavati. Because in that particular self, you cannot see any cause for fear. And it is the cause of fearlessness. He says the aspirant or the practicant, he says, is establishing that Brahman, that is changeless, bodiless, inexpressible and supportless, and that is free from distinguishable attributes of entire effects, he attains stability, abhayam. And it qualifies the verb, otherwise it has to be changed into abhayam in the feminine gender to qualify the noun. When the practicant attains stability, nature of the self, on account of his not seeing any diversity, which is the product of ignorance and also the cause of fear. If you see, even if you feel in your deep meditation, I am existing and I am existing everywhere, I am all pervading. Besides me, there is nothing. So how can you say you are having fear? Only one thing is there. That's why in Puranas, they put in another way. From the navel of Vishnu, Brahman has come. And he sees water everywhere. And for a moment, he is afraid. And afterwards think, when there is nobody besides me, why should I fear? That is, in that way the Puranas explain. Here also it is something like that. That when there is no diversity, there is no fear. Swarupa pratishto hi asau yada bhavati tadha na anyat pashyati. When he establishes himself in that Atman, then he will not see anything else. Then he will not be having any fear. Na anyat shrunoti, na anyat vijnana. He will not be hearing others. He will not be seeing. He will not be knowing. That's what is. Anyasya anyato bhayam bhavati. The fear comes from others. You think. Tasmat atmaiva atmano abhay karanam. So if one gets established in one's own self, and if he realizes it as the highest bliss, and it is the only thing that is all pervading, then he can never have fear. Sarvato hi nirbhaya brahmana drishyante. The realized persons, we see, they are always fearless. Tacha ayuktam asati bhayatrane brahmani. Now we see the bhayatrane brahmani. Because of the presence of that bliss or the Atman, they got rid of that fear. That is why it is called Bhayatrane Brahmani, because of that its existence, which is giving fearlessness, or by experiencing that, one is having this fearlessness state. That's why tasmat tesham abhe dasna dasti tad abhe karanam brahma. And these realized persons, they are not having any cause for fear. That's why those who are having fear, there must be a cause. Actually, because they are seeing the difference in it, they are having that fear. That's what he says. So, we'll stop here. You come from this side also, take one. What is it? From here also you take all the people, if you can cover. I want to show to our awesome people, our friends. can take in two portions. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krito Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah. Ishvara Niti Mukti Veda Vimagini Brahmavakya Prati